Hi, I'm Allison Stateman, and this is 10 Questions for Time. I'm here with Danny Boyle, whose most recent film, Slumdog Millionaire, has garnered massive acclaim for the director and his cast. Thank you for being here.
Very nice to be here.
Great. Ryan McClellan in Detroit, Michigan wants to know, you seem to gravitate towards projects that redefine our expectations of what a genre movie can be, with 28 Days Later, Sunshine, and Slumdog. What's the key to shaking things up as a filmmaker?
It's a good way of putting it, actually, because I try to. I have this kind of. It's a more provocative than a coherent theory, but that your first film is always your best film in some way. It might not be your most successful. It's certainly not your most technically accomplished or anything like that. But there's something about doing your first one when you don't know what you're doing quite, and you can always try to get back to that moment of where you don't know what you're doing, which is shaking things up a bit because you're not relying on things you've done before, either successes or techniques or anything like that. And you try and approach each one fresh, and literally start from the bottom and learn everything while you're making the film. And this film, I'd never been to Mumbai before. Mm-hmm. So you're learning everything as you go along. You have to learn about Bollywood, about Mumbai, about all the history and all the politics and all the culture and everything like that. It's extraordinary.
What surprised you most about Mumbai or working there on this film?
It's an extraordinary city. They call it the maximum city. The only place I've ever been similar to it is New York. When the first time I went to New York, the first time you go to New York, the first time I went there was in the early 80s, and it's just extraordinary. These cities, they just grab you by the throat and say, you'll never be the same again, welcome. And in Mumbai, and this seems to me to be unique from my experience anyway, everything's side by side. The poor aren't kept out in the ghetto, the slums are very much mixed in with the whole city. And when you fly over the city, you see that startlingly. Everything's next door to each other. And they kind of keep, that feeling is there in the city the whole time. There's these incredible mood swings in the day. You see some terrible things, and then you see the most joyous thing, and they all bang into each other like that. So the tone of our film tries to reflect that.
Are there any movies that fans of cult classics like Trainspotting or film festival favorites like Slumdog Millionaire would be surprised to find out that you enjoy? Do you have any guilty pleasures?
Oh God, my guilty pleasure this year was Tropic Thunder, which I thought was hilarious. And brilliant. It's got quite interesting stuff to say in it, about acting and about entertainment and all that kind of stuff. But it's hilariously done and beautifully done, brilliantly acted by the lot of them. So that's a big guilty pleasure this year that I've had. And I'm a huge fan of those kind of ridiculous comedies. And also action movies. I love big action movies.
What is your response to the claims that you're romanticizing the poverty in India?
It's very interesting, that question, because I think film does that anyway. Almost by its nature, film, it kind of seems to sometimes glamorize stuff. And I try to make very exciting films always. So there's a double danger that you do that with it. When we went into the slums of India, I had a very different image of them than is the truth. People said to us, people that we work with in the slums said, you're not going to show us to be poor, are you? Because that's what Westerners always do. And you go, well, if you show it like this, it's going to look poor. But I tried to make the film with a kind of energy that reflects that what the places are like, that it has a kind of vitality despite its poverty, really, in a way. And the spirit of the film and the idea that this underdog who comes from there is able to succeed against all the odds is something that I feel comes directly from the city. And if that means that some people regard it as romanticising poverty, I wouldn't apologise for that, really. I'm very proud of the film. It's a very romantic idea, which probably doesn't happen very often in real life, but it's something that we want to believe in the movies, I think. And I do believe in it very much, and that's why I made the film.
Did working in the slums and with children from the slums affect you emotionally?
They do affect you enormously. There's something that they are magic on screen because they don't bring any baggage. They're so simple and straightforward. Once it's explained to them what a scene's about, once they understand the way to play it, there's such directness about what they do. They're not bothered about what do they look like. Does this make my character? Is this going to make my character more popular or less popular? All that kind of baggage stuff. They're not really bothered about all that. They just play the scene. And so it's always very moving, and I think it's that you just see yourself in them. You just think that's where we come from, and we've got very, very complicated in all the years it's taken me to get from where they are now to here, you just complicated everything, you know? And if you could have lived in the simple way that they see things, it's something beautiful about that. Wordsworth has this wonderful thing where he imagines when you're born, you come out of the sea and you walk up the shore. And as you learn language and sophistication, you lose sight of where you've come from, you know. And it's very true in a way, you know, because all the things, all the attributes we gather around us make us lose sight of that simplicity, really, in a way. And I think that's what you connect with, really.